The game never stops, and neither do we. Welcome to the SDH Network. We're always around the corner from everywhere. It's Tuesday, and this is your Morning Espresso, brought to you by Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. We've got MLS history being written in Southern California, Champions League Matchday 5 lighting up in Europe, tension in Madrid, that's normal, fallout in Manchester, that's normal, coaching movement in Scotland, that's actually still normal as well, wild night in Argentina, that's definitely normal. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup field is locked in. We've got NCAA tournament drama and a full refill to close out the show. It's a massive Tuesday ahead, so let's pour up a cup and get started. Segment 1, let's talk San Diego getting into the Western Conference Final. San Diego FC, they're one of the top stories of the year in the world. Maybe one of the top stories in MLS history. Another sellout, another big moment, and this time it's Anders Dreyer delivering again. His goal in the 72nd minute, his fourth goal of the postseason, lifted San Diego to a 1-0 win over Minnesota United, sends the expansion team into the Western Conference Final where they will host Vancouver. It wasn't just a goal, it was a perfect expression of the way this team plays. Relentless pressure until breaking through. The first half, it was pretty tactical. San Diego dominated the ball. Minnesota looked like they were playing a 6-4-0 formation at times, just trying to absorb everything. They couldn't break out. San Diego couldn't break through. In the second half, Minnesota nearly shocked everybody. Robin Lod got through on goal 2 minutes in. He beat Pablo Cisniega. It looked like it was going to go in. And then Ian Pilcher came sliding across to clear it off the line. And a true season-saving moment. From there, San Diego grew into things. Corey Baird chased down a chipped ball to the end line. Perfect little back heel to Dreyer, and he did the rest, smashing it top corner past Dane St. Clair. Pablo Cisniega and the back line, back-to-back clean sheets. Just one goal allowed in 3 home playoff matches. Mikey Veras afterwards said, hard work, intensity, relentless ambition. He said, we wanted this to be a reflection of this community. He's formed a very strong identity with this team. They are showing that they are one of the best teams in the league in 2025, and they're absolutely a contender to lift MLS Cup at the end. Now, to get there, they've got to win the Western Conference Final at home against the Vancouver Whitecaps. Number 1 in the West versus number 2. Both teams finished on 63 points. San Diego, they beat Vancouver twice. They had the wins tiebreaker. Everything in the Western Conference comes down to this. The winner of that match will play the winner of Inter Miami and New York City FC. Conference finals over the weekend. We'll get into all that as we go this week. But next up, we got to go to Europe. It's Champions League Match Day 5. Today's loaded. Tomorrow's even better. Bounce around a little bit. Chelsea and Barcelona today. Chelsea are banged up. Cole Palmer's bizarre toe fracture is keeping him out. Enzo Maresca admitted he's not quite sure when Palmer will return. Barcelona come into this with Robert Lewandowski back in form. Lamine Yamal creating everything. His assists over the weekend were obscene. Hansi Flick is sorting out some injuries in midfield. Pedri didn't travel, but it still feels like a pretty strong 11 for him. Both clubs are on 7 points. Somebody potentially is going to separate a little bit here today. Manchester City and Bayer Leverkusen, that's today. Pep Guardiola managing his 100th Champions League match with City. 8 games in 26 days. This is what Manchester City's used to, though, right? They're coming in after a loss against Newcastle. They need a response. Leverkusen, they've been unpredictable in this competition, so it's a little hard to guess what you're going to get out of them in this one. Marseille and Newcastle, that's today. Marseille haven't beaten an English club in Europe in 12 straight matches. Newcastle have also been inconsistent, but they did get the win over the weekend against Manchester City. They have a lot of dangerous players in this group. Harvey Barnes, Jacob Murphy expected to start. Dan Burn back in the 11. Nick Voltemade leading the line. Juve, they are on the road in Norway at Bodo Glimt. They need to win on multiple levels, not only to get to climb up the table a little bit because they have not won in Champions League yet this year, but they really need this because getting to the knockout playoff round means roughly 30 million euro. They need the money because they'd like to upgrade this roster a little bit. It's honestly not quite good enough. They need that cash coming in. Also, historically, they have never won a match in Norway. Juve have never won in Norway, and they're going to have to do it today north of the Arctic Circle. It's not going to be as bad as it could be weather-wise. It's going to be around freezing. There could be some snow. It will be very windy, and that could be the biggest effect today. Benfica is on the road at Ajax. Jose Mourinho, he's already in crisis at Benfica. They've lost all 4 Champions League matches under him. Ajax at the Johan Cruyff Arena, it feels like must win, or Benfica's not going to make it out of the league phase of the Champions League. Mourinho hasn't won a Champions League match since 2019, 6 straight losses, and they didn't look great in their Portuguese Cup match over the weekend. They struggled against the third division team, eventually got the win, but Mourinho was not happy afterwards. PSG, some updates as they play tomorrow. Ousmane Dembélé, he may return. Marquinhos should be back. He's set for appearance number 500 for the club. Also tomorrow, Arsenal and Bayern Munich, both undefeated, both with a plus 11 goal difference. Harry Kane versus that Arsenal defense that has been outstanding this season. Internazionale, they prepare for Atleti, but will do so with 5 players unavailable who did not train today. We'll get into all of tomorrow's matches in tomorrow's Morning Espresso, and we'll recap what happens today. You can watch all of it on Paramount+. One other headline when it comes to Champions League, and this affects La Liga as well. It's a big one as things continue to progress in Madrid, the tension between Vinicius Jr. and Xabi Alonso. Multiple reports, The Athletic has been out in front of this. They say that Vinicius told club president Florentino Perez that he does not want to renew his contract while Xabi Alonso is in charge. His deal runs until 2027, negotiations for an extension. Now, they did stall before Xabi Alonso took over. They have continued to stall over things like salary structure, expectations, and now the personal relationship between Vinny and Alonso. Club World Cup kind of got things started with all of this. He was going to sit out for a match, and then there was an injury, so he had to play, and he played on the opposite side. He's had the outburst when he was substituted. He apologized for that, but he didn't mention the manager. Everything looks really bad with this. Madrid hope that winning fixes everything, but they're also not going to run the risk of Vinny leaving on a free at the end of his contract. So next summer gets really, really interesting for Vinicius Jr. with a World Cup where Brazil will be among the favorites, but also potentially a massive transfer if he decides not to renew his deal at Real Madrid. The Saudi clubs have been circling. I don't know of anybody else who can come up with the amount of money that it's going to take to get Vinny, to make him happy, but also to get a deal done with Madrid. So keep an eye on this one. It's going to continue to bubble. Let's go to Manchester. Manchester United, they lost 1-0 to 10-man Everton. Everton had a player sent off after 13 minutes because they were fighting one another. and it didn't matter. Everton still got the win. They ended up getting the goal at 10, and then they held things down. Ruben Amorim was blunt. He said, "We deserve to lose. We are not even near where we should be." He admitted that he's afraid of reliving last season where the club spiraled, and he wishes his players would show the same fight that Everton showed, even fighting each other. United are in 10th. Crystal Palace away is next, and that pressure is starting to come back a little bit for Manchester United. Let's go north just a bit to Glasgow. Wilfried Nancy to Celtic is nearing completion. They're down to the final terms for the Columbus Crew manager to head to Glasgow to take over at Celtic. Nancy's been on the radar of European clubs for a little while. Celtic see him as the right identity builder, and I would agree with that. He's won trophies. He's developed young players. He's built a style that translates. I think he's one of the best managers that Major League Soccer's ever had. Columbus is going to struggle to replace him. That's going to be another interesting element of this. And I also worry about how he will be received. Celtic's a really interesting spot where, as we've talked about on Soccer Over There, they are going to be in the top 2 in Scotland forever. They're generally, until Rangers, I think, gets their business side a little better, they're generally going to have more resources, more money, more talent than anybody else in Scotland. So you can, I don't want to say just show up in Scotland. That's not fair, as we're seeing this year. But more often than not, you're going to win the Scottish Premiership. To me, how Celtic can truly be defined is what they're able to do in Europe. But when you have board members saying, like, oh, well, we can't even compete in Europe anymore, I don't think it's about competing to win the Champions League. I think it's about putting forth the right performances when you're in the Champions League, but also when you're in the Europa League. That is a competition that you should be thinking about winning. And that would be massive for this club. And I think Wilfried Nancy is very ambitious. He will go for these things, and he will also not go into these games and play scared and play defensively. It's going to be an interesting watch to see how he adapts to Celtic, how Celtic as an organization, as a culture, adapt to him, and when friction happens, how it's handled on both sides. I think Wilfried Nancy will absolutely go there and be successful. I just worry that he's going to get pushed in the wrong directions by this fan base, and he's going to get frustrated. I don't think he needs to be there very long. We'll see. It's going to be another very interesting watch with Wilfried Nancy to Celtic looking imminent. Let's go down south to Argentina. River Plate season is over. 3-2 loss to Racing in the Argentine playoffs. Racing scored. River scored twice in 2 minutes. They took a 2-1 lead in the second half. Racing tied it. And then a very late goal for Racing in stoppage time, one of the last kicks, and it ends up in the back of the net. And Racing advance. River is done. The story of the night, there's two. Marcelo Gallardo says that he will stay standing. He's not going anywhere. He wants to rebuild it for River. They'll be back in training in about a month's time. But the biggest story of the night is former Atlanta United midfielder Santiago Sosa. He was playing with a protective mask after a horrific facial injury, the collision with his teammate Marcos Rojo. He put on the captain's armband for Racing. He won 11 of 13 aerial duels with a giant mask on his face. Delivered a hugely inspiring performance, one of the best that you will see. Spoke to the media afterwards, and his emotional reflections showed how personal this was to him. On top of just wanting to get back and defend his team's colors, he was playing against River, the team that he came up through, the team that he had played with before coming to Atlanta, and the team that when he wanted to go back, didn't want him. So he said when he was injured and this game came up, he said, I want to be back for it. And the manager had the faith in him, and he absolutely delivered a epic performance, one that will go down in Argentine history from Santiago Sosa. It's great to see Santiago Sosa doing so well, a player that we had very high hopes for here in Atlanta, and it just didn't quite come together for him here. It is right now at Racing, where he's one of the best players in the league in Argentina. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup field is now set. All 32 Open Division qualifiers are in the UPSL, heavily represented. And locally, Kalanchi Pro Profile, that is your representative. They are in after a 1-0 win over Potros, two of the top teams in the Georgia Premier Division. Kalanchi Pro Profile got the win there on Sunday night. So they'll be into the tournament. Speaking of tournaments, the NCAA Women's Tournament is ongoing. We got drama. TCU, they delivered a moment that they'll talk about forever in Fort Worth. Equalized with 6 seconds left against North Carolina and then won on penalties. Stanford routed BYU 6-0 behind Jasmine Akey and Eleanor Klinger. And Vanderbilt advanced with their best season since 1994. The quarterfinals are set, and these are three teams that look like they can keep pushing. We'll have plenty of local college coverage this week on SDH AM and on the podcast side on Soccer Down here, with Emory's men and women going to the Final Four. with plenty of others as well. Going to be exciting to see all of these teams and how they do. Stay tuned to Life University, Georgia Gwinnett, Emory, and more. All right, let's get into the refill to close this out. Some headlines from around the world. Hannah Hampton won the BBC Women's Footballer of the Year award, won the treble with Chelsea, won the Euros with England. That helped drive her to the award, the great goalkeeper for England and Chelsea. Netflix, they are eyeing Premier League broadcast rights, both in the UK's future cycles and the next US deal. Netflix is getting real serious about sports. There's reports that they're going to get Elle Duncan from ESPN, our old friend from here in Atlanta. Elle Duncan could be headed to Netflix to be the face of their sports division. Matchday, they won the Emperor's Cup in Japan, their first major trophy in club history. Crystal Palace, Raisha Littlejohn, she faces a long ban after a headlock takedown. It was a pretty impressive takedown. Rhea Ripley might be impressed with this one if you're going WWE on it. This was against Leicester. Be curious to see what the suspension is going to be for Littlejohn. Sport Republic, the multi-club ownership group that has Southampton, they are opening talks to acquire Levski Sofia, the legendary Bulgarian club. Stay tuned on that one as they try to expand their multi-club model. Caio Jorge in Brazil, he has a unique way of trying to get more opportunities to score goals. He is offering his teammates a bonus for an assist. I think it's about €500 per bonus. Pretty significant. It's working. He leads the Brazilian top flight in goals right now. So 21. Hey, I've never heard of something like this, but it is working right now. And staying in Brazil, Santos and Internacional, they tied last night, and they are both sliding towards relegation. Santos is in a relegation spot right now. Internacional, I think, will be okay with 3 games left, but it's not a definite as things get down to the wire in Brazil. Also, sad news in Portugal. Boa Vista, one of the legendary clubs, and it's been a great club in terms of developing talent. They appear near full liquidation now after years of crisis. I don't see them coming back, at least in this current form. Maybe they end up becoming a Phoenix club in Portugal and somebody brings them back under different leadership. But Boa Vista, and you'll remember the Reggie Cannon situation with them. This has been ongoing for a while, and it looks like they are at the end. That's your Tuesday morning Espresso. Follow your soccer down here across all platforms for updates throughout the day. Make sure you are with us there. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. If you're hearing this for the first time, make sure you're subscribed on our YouTube channel as well. Got Champions League stuff all day long, MLS playoff notes as we get ready. We'll keep you updated on what's happening locally. We'll also have Atlanta soccer tonight, this evening on 92.9 The Game. I'll be live at 10 p.m. to break down everything from Champions League, any other news of the day. We'll talk about potential coaching replacements for Columbus and Wilfried Nancy and anything else that pops up today. Atlanta soccer tonight, 10 o'clock, 92.9 The Game, and the Odyssey app. You can listen to that as a podcast afterwards at Off the Woodwork. And then tomorrow morning, I'll be back to get you ready for another day of Champions League here with another cup of morning espresso. Thanks for listening to the SDH Network, where every pass, voice, and dream connect.